Well, hello everybody. I am Aaron Nerdcrave. This is my friend Eric here sitting beside me, and we're talking to SHAWN over in Regina, the city that rhymes with fun.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, sure does. We know our rhyming words.
we haven't done this in a long time, SHAWN. How's it going?
It's good. It's good. Nothing's changed. Weirdly enough, it's been a long time, and everything's the same.
So, for
I
those
try
of
to
you
remain static.
for those of you who maybe don't know or didn't catch up with our podcast last year, the Beeps and Bloops podcast, we spent quite a bit of time together with a bunch of other people. We had at times 5 or 6 people participating, and we'd talk about games, and we'd talk about movies, and we'd talk about news and upcoming events and things like that. We kind of fell off the bandwagon. It was mostly my fault, actually, because I was sort of feeling overwhelmed with the pressure of trying to turn it into something that it wasn't. And now I just wanted to spend some time with my friends and just sort of show the people out there, I guess, just us hanging out, talking about the things that we absolutely love, the things we're passionate about: games, movies, 90s, 80s, retro, comic books, whatever we feel like.
jogging.
Dr. Pepper. We will not be talking about any of that exercise bullshit on this show.
That's great.
So, SHAWN, what have you been up to lately?
I bought the Mega Man Battle Network collection, so I've been playing
yes.
the first game of that.
So
How
you
is that?
tracking in?
It's good. I mean, it's a Game Boy Advance game. It's an RPG. It's from that era.
Yeah.
I forgot to save, and how you lose progress. And yeah, I got a blunt reminder of that.
I finally beat this boss that I've been working on. I started playing Scarlet Nexus on Steam, I don't know, 6 months ago, and I got like 3-4 hours in the game, got past a couple of different bosses, and then got stuck on like a really big boss, tried and failed 4 or 5 times, and then just sort of abandoned the game. And I came back to it this week and failed another couple of times, and then finally today I actually beat the boss. And so I'm pretty excited to carry on with that game now that I got past that crazy difficulty spike.
I wonder if there'll be other hard bosses, or is that kind of the hard boss of the game?
I don't know.
Sometimes-
It's only about 4 hours into the game, so it's kind of the first like big boss. So I'm kind of
Sometimes that can be the hardest one.
Yeah, I don't know. It just felt very unbalanced, and the boss was like, once you learned the patterns of its attack, it got a lot easier to just sort of avoid the pattern, run in, hit it a couple of times, jump out of the way of the attack, and then run in and hit it a couple more times. But it was such a damage sponge. Like it just like the battle took like half an hour. It was just ridiculous.
How does it compare to Dark Souls in that way? I don't really know much about the game other than what you shared before.
Well, I mean, it's a JRPG that's more reminiscent of something like a Devil May Cry or a Bayonetta sort of combat. Like it's very fast paced, technical combat with a lot of combos and stuff like that. I'm not the greatest at those kind of games, but the combat in this game feels really, really fluid, and the controls are really intuitive. So I like it, but it is fairly difficult for me at times. Like I had to put it on the easiest setting just to beat this boss. I'll probably put it back to normal again for the foreseeable future, but this boss just kicked my ass.
I wonder if there's some sort of technique that maybe you missed. That happens to me all the time. I usually end up forcing my way through sometimes.
It's funny you say that, because shortly before the boss, like in the 20 minutes before the boss, there was some kind of a tutorial that popped up that was trying to tell me about some kind of a combo or something, and I skipped over it too fast, and I don't know how to do it. So I had to brute force my way through the boss because there's some kind of move I don't know how to do now.
I bet that's the move.
So, yep. I
What?
considered starting the game all over again.
That's 4 hours, though.
Yeah.
I'm sure you
But
could just read it. Could you not just go on YouTube and just watch that tutorial part you missed?
Probably could. I did try to look up some like hints and tricks or whatever, but I wasn't really finding the information I needed.
Now, why is it in 2023, after all these decades, they still haven't bothered doing replayable cutscenes most of the time, or even if they do replayable, what about rewind? Like, oh, the kid yelled something, I missed that line of dialogue. Can I just rewind it by 15 seconds? Why isn't that a thing?
I don't know.
They just don't care about our lives.
So
I remember a long time ago, I recorded Xenosaga 1, the whole game, minus the fight scenes, on VHS. Took me like 3 tapes to get the whole thing on there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's the only way to do it.
I don't quite know. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is coming out in like, what, 3 weeks? Something like that?
May or something.
May-
Yeah,
May
I'm
12th.
shocked. I'm shocked it's coming out so fast. Worries me.
I'm trying so hard to clean up some loose ends right now. I've got a couple of games on the go, but I'm just not going to get there. And I know I'm going to get sidetracked by Tears of the Kingdom, and everything else is going to go by the wayside. I don't know. Is there anything coming up this year for you that's going to like stop everything, hold the presses, and start playing that?
Well, that was the PlayStation VR 2, but since I don't even have a PS5, that's just not going to happen. There's a lot of games because I don't have a PS5. I want to play this, haven't got around to it. God of War 2, Assassin's Creed, Valhalla. I want to play all these games, and I could get them for PS4, but I want to play them in their best form. But eventually, someday. Otherwise, right now, I guess Tears of the Kingdom. I'm not sure a whole bunch of what's really coming out. This seems to be more of a year of movies than games for me this year.
There does seem to be a lot of games coming out, but I'm not really interested in very many of them. Like, the big news seems to be around your Starfields and Redfalls, and I guess Spider-Man coming out at Christmas time, maybe Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That's not confirmed yet, but everybody sort of assumes. But I'm really not interested in any of those games. I may play Starfield 5 years from now when I find it in a bargain bin for $12,
right.
But it's not the kind of game that I'm going to be all over on day one and like buying an Xbox for or something. Like, it's not a system seller to me.
I'm still maybe 10, 15 hours into Skyrim, so I think I can wait on Starfield.
Yeah. What have you been playing, Eric?
Well, I was playing
jogging.
What?
Jogging.
Oh, well, yeah, I was jogging. Yeah, getting a lot of that in. But I was sitting back last night playing Super Mario Advance 4, and kind of figured, I would try out some of those extra levels that came out on the Wii U. That was I tried out because they re-released like one from Super Mario Bros. 1. Actually, 4 of the levels, 4 of the beginning levels from Super Mario Bros. 1. So I played the first 2, and I got the advanced coins.
That's cool.
Yeah, I bought that for the Wii U because I thought that's my last chance to own a copy of it. Right? That because now they might put it on the streaming service, but that's not. I don't want to rent it.
Yeah.
Well, geez, didn't they put? Isn't that on? Oh no, it's not on the Switch Game Boy Advance thing yet. I don't think, but it probably will come to the Game Boy Advance eventually.
Probably, but will it be the complete version? Because the Wii U version has all that e-reader card stuff. They actually changed the game to include it. Where if they put it on the streaming service, Nintendo Switch Online, it'll probably be just the basic game without the add-on stuff.
That's possible.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo isn't exactly super cool these days when it comes to being friendly. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
you
don't
want the
know.
game, here you go. You want the extra stuff?
I think they'll do it. I mean, like, all it is just a stream, you know.
Well, it depends.
Yeah, I know, because
I
they
mean,
did it with other games like Donkey Kong Country 2. I remember they released the bugged version on the Wii. I'm not sure if you know about the major bug that happens in Donkey Kong Country 2.
I don't remember.
Yeah, there's this bug at one point in a level where if you jump over and hit a DK box or something like that, it can damage your Super Nintendo. They released that ROM on the Wii, and apparently it causes weird bugs and glitches on the Wii as well. But I think they re-released that on the Wii U, if I'm correct, and they released the fixed one. I'm not sure. It's either it was released unbugged on the Wii or vice versa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's just that. Oh yeah, go ahead. Yep.
My plan here is that we're going to get together like friends and hang out, hopefully every week through the summer, maybe beyond eventually. But we've kind of set aside Tuesdays theoretically for the next little while anyway. That doesn't mean necessarily that the video will be uploaded Tuesday. It'll probably be Wednesday or Thursday before I get it cut and uploaded and stuff. But interested what you kind folks out there that are watching, what you would like us to talk about. And back on the podcast, we did a lot of news related stuff, and we did a lot of topics about, say our favorite games on a certain system or something like that. And we definitely like to get back into, talking about some of these topics that are, they would make a good video, but it's better, I think, for us to spend 45 minutes or an hour really deep diving into some of these topics, right? But is that a back scratcher?
It does look like a back scratcher, yeah. I think what would be great is if you guys start a fight, I can be eating the popcorn while you guys fight it out. That'd be it.
Yeah. You're wrong.
Yeah.
we do fight about stuff every now and again, but it's all in good fun. So what do we want to call this? What is this? This isn't a podcast. This is just a bunch of dorks hanging out.
I'm not a dork. You are.
You're a dork.
Maybe let the people decide.
Let the people decide. Should we run a poll? I guess we could call it dorks hanging out.
The cute guy and the two dorks. How about that?
Well, it might not always be just two, Maybe it could be like a combination, because I'm the Electronic Emotions program, you're Nerd Crave, maybe it could be something combined.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get other people in here as well. I would love to, just sort of hang out with some people, and I don't know, maybe this is going to be boring for everybody, but I feel like I need a community again. I need to interact with other people. The crazy thing about like YouTube, even if you've got thousands of views, it's still a very lonely hobby. You do so much stuff by yourself. You film by yourself, you edit by yourself, you upload, you answer comments, whatever. But, you go on Twitter, all those people are strangers, and there's no real interaction there. It's to be able to do something like this, to actually sit down and have a conversation, I think is so needed for me anyway.
I kind of got a little bit of an idea right now.
Okay.
Just a little idea. This is kind of about me right now, just because a lot of people may not know who I am, and they're probably thinking, who the hell is this guy? You could probably ask them about what I do. Not the exercising stuff, okay? Gaming related.
What do you do gaming related?
Well, I do some modding and stuff like that. I've done soldering. I do a lot of stuff with tech. I fix a lot of stuff for Aaron.
Yeah, he's pretty useful. That's why I keep him around.
Yeah. That's the only reason why I'm here right now. but who knows? Maybe in the future you'll see more of me. So
yeah, I mean, I got a lot of crap to talk about too. Like, thanks to Eric here, we just recently finished sort of modding or remodding my Wii U and getting some modifications done to that to get some games ported over to it, and that's pretty cool, man.
There's some funny stuff with it,
though. The Wii U is awesome modded because the way that it's modded simulates the actual way that the Wii U operates, just like the 3DS does. So there's no extra menus you have to go into. You don't have to load up at like an emulator or anything like that. You literally just turn it on and scroll through the thumbnails on, and there's a game. You click it, you play it. It emulates the actual eShop experience, right? So like if you have an installed game, it looks stock. It looks like you paid for it. It works like you paid for it. It's really cool.
Yeah. So
I think that we did that too. Yeah. Right.
The easiest thing for him is just to press the X button and have me right. So.
Don't have to think too hard about it, huh?
I'm not a big fan of systems where you have to, like other systems that I've had that were modded. Like I had a modded original Xbox with a bunch of like Super Nintendo ROMs on it and stuff, and like that's great, but when you have to go and launch a program and go through a text-based list and stuff, it doesn't feel the same as the native experience anymore. Like it just sort of feels like you're making it do something it wasn't intended to do. And that's why I love the 3DS too, because when you sideload games onto there, they actually show up as the little present, and you have to unwrap the present just like when you buy something from the eShop, and then it's installed. It's right there on your homepage. You can move it around, put it in folders, do whatever you want. So like it feels right, you know.
Well, that's a nice little touch. I like that. Yeah, no, of course. Like you don't want to, if you, as long as like I imagine like if I'm playing a bunch of Super Nintendo games or Nintendo games on say a model Wii U, the experience of just picking it off the page probably wouldn't be as good, because if you're going through thousands and thousands of games, maybe a text-based is easier. But if you're playing Wii U games on a Wii U, then yeah, I'd want it to look like a Wii U game.
Yeah. All the games
that makes sense.
Just like that.
Yeah, and even like the Virtual Console games, like we downloaded all of the TurboGrafx games that were available through the Wii U Virtual Console or whatever. So now I have those all just on my home screen. I can go into Bonk's Adventure or whatever, and it's just bam, it's right there. I have all these games. I have all these ROMs that I could play on the computer, and I can put TurboGrafx ROMs on my Steam Deck and stuff. But for some reason, having them this way, in a way that emulates the feel of being legitimate somehow, it's just more enjoyable.
If I had a second Wii U, I'd totally do that. But I'm not going to do that to my only Wii U.
Now, the Wii is pretty simple, though.
Yeah,
I've seen a few hacked Wiis that are okay, but you still have to go into the homebrew channel, and then you have to do all this messing around with setting up, like downloading artwork for everything.
Yeah, but for that, right? Like can be a one-step sort of deal, really. I do the setup, and then if you have all the games or whatever you want on your system, and then you get the art and all that, that's done. You just open up the homebrew channel, you use USB Loader GX, and then you get in there, and there's all your games. Just like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't feel as streamlined. Like, at that point, why don't I just play them on Dolphin on my computer?
Well, because you're playing with emulation, which you're not getting the full, experience. It's not just, I don't mean it by the experience, but the problem with emulation is you're going to have input lag, because it has to do a lot of conversion through software. It just mimics the hardware through software emulation, so you're not getting the full, experience.
I suppose if you're playing a GameCube or a Wii game on the Wii, playing it natively is the best way you can do it.
Yeah, big time.
So I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I've still got this PSP up here that I bought for parts. That's the next project that I'm gonna get you to do. I need a battery and a battery cover for it.
Oh yeah, I've done that. All right.
So the battery covers are like $3 on eBay. I just gotta order one. And you can pick up a battery at like Iceman for $20.
Well, I got to tell you too, the first gen PSPs are a lot better than the 2000 series and 3000. I mean, sure, okay, the 2000 and 3000 give you the video output, but the build quality of the first model is better. And the whole reason why they reduce cost on the 2000 and 3000 is because, well, they have to slim on what they're going to be using for parts.
The nice thing about hacking a PSP, from what I've seen, though, is it works with the cross media bar, and it just shows your games as installed games on the cross media bar. It's not like it's almost the same as a 3DS, where it feels like a native experience when you put PSP games on a PSP. You know what I mean?
What's great about a modded PSP as well is, well, I have a 2000 model. You can use there's a menu that you can use. I'm not sure what it's called off by my head right now, but you can rip UMDs, and if you stick a USB to the computer from the PSP and have the option for the output to the computer selected as the UMD, then you can just drop and drag the UMD drive to your desktop, whatever, and use those games in emulation.
I have no idea what you just said.
Well, it's basically extracting UMD. Yeah, so it turns it into an ISO file. I should have just said it that way. I apologize.
He does all that nonsense. I just hand him the console and he hands it back to me fixed.
Yeah,
or whatever.
I'm a nerd when it comes to tech stuff. I love gaming too, but yeah, I've been doing exercising.
I picked up. I was pretty excited about this deal. The prices of 512 gig micro SD cards is just coming down so fast. I bought this one was $50 for a 512. Now it is a Samsung. I'm not sure that those are quite as good as the SanDiscs, but
I'm sure they're fine. Samsung
it should be okay. But the last one I bought, I don't know, 6 months ago or so, was about $70, and the one before that I bought was like $80 or $90. So they've come down quite a bit in the last couple of years.
I could probably stand to double up my Switch hard SanDisk size. I have to keep deleting things every time I get something new.
Yeah, well, I really need a 1 terabyte for my Switch because I've got a lot of digital games now, and some of them are big. Like I got Mortal Kombat 11 was a digital code in a box, which pissed me off. I didn't notice when I bought it.
I wouldn't even want Mortal Kombat 11 on a Switch.
I bought an empty game case with a digital code. Similarly, the Borderlands collection on Switch, you get the cartridge, but only the first game is on the cartridge. The pre-sequel and the second game are downloads. BioShock is the same way. I have BioShock 1, 2, and whatever the other thing is, but only one of the games is physical. So yeah, like it's really starts to take up space on those SD cards really fast.
And a lot of times these games can have all the games on there. They just choose to not buy the larger cartridge and then force you to make up the difference. And then you're not getting physical copies at that point either. And it's like, isn't that the point? I want a physical copy.
I'm 50-50 or more on digital. I don't mind having digital. Digital's fine. I choose digital sometimes and I choose physical sometimes for no real reason either. Like just sort of whatever's convenient. But obviously, like I like collecting my older physical games, the PS3s and PS2s of the world. But I don't really care with my modern stuff. I think since I got the Steam Deck and since I got so heavily invested in Steam, and I do so much of my gaming on Steam, on my PC here, or on the Steam Deck, one or the other. I've just gotten really accustomed to digital games, and it really just doesn't faze me anymore. I'll sort of take one or the other.
Well, for portables, it makes more sense, I think, instead of taking a bunch of tiny little cartridges to lose everywhere. For digital, it's fine, and for the PSVR 1, digital was really great too, because taking off that thing and changing discs and putting it back on your head and adjusting it, that was kind of a pain too. So having just a digital swap was a lot easier. Now with PSVR 2, you can just push a button and you can see the world around you, so it's not as big of a deal. But yeah, digital has its place, but I like to own my games too, not have them just be taken away, which happens a lot.
See, that's an argument that I've been doing a lot of thinking about. I don't think ownership really means what it used to mean, at least not to me. Like, if I own something digitally, theoretically, for the most part, although I don't technically own it, I am going to have that at least for the lifespan of my console.
But that's it. If my Wii dies or my Wii U, all the games die. If my Nintendo dies, my Nintendo dies. I get all my games still. So, I mean, yes. I mean, as long as your console's alive, as long as my 3DS is alive, that's great. Look at Gerard, right? How much did he spend? $20,000, $30,000 on all those games? Just let that system fail. Boom, it's all gone. All of it, not just the system. And that's a huge difference,
Nintendo
there is the
when they stop.
Yeah, well, the thing is, for me, like, now that I've gotten so much more into hacking and emulation and stuff, thanks to Eric, the interesting thing is, like, the moral gray area for me is once something hits that Wii U level where the shops are shut down, I don't feel guilty about pirating games if they're not really accessible, because
or re-released.
I'm happy to spend money. Like, I spend money on games, I spend money on movies, I have tons of physical games, I have tons of digital games on Steam, on Epic, on Nintendo Switch. Like, I spend money on games, but if I can't access those games somehow, I don't feel bad about pirating them. And once the system is shut down, I don't really care about owning the games anymore, because chances are I probably have ROMs already on my computer ready to go anyway. So by the time my Switch bites the biscuit, I'll be able to just buy a new Switch and hack it. You know what I mean? At which point I still own the games, and I still own any game I want to own through piracy. So,
I was going to say something too, regarding the whole digital download thing. Now, I think he brought it up already. Well, I got LA Noire for Christmas a few years ago, and sadly, I couldn't play the game out of the box because I think you had to download the game for the SD card.
Yeah.
So, even owning a physical, it's like nothing these days,
These days, yeah.
You need the update, right? And even for emulation too, certain things.
You didn't have an SD card in your Switch?
I did, but it was like, I don't know how many gigs it was. I had to buy 128 gig, and that's still what I have in there because honestly, I don't play it much right now. But yeah, I had to, with LA Noire, I had to download, I think it was like a 14 gigabyte update or something, where the whole game was put on through that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a touchy subject for some people. You know what I'd love to talk about? There has been a crazy discourse on Twitter the last couple of days about the N64. And people, I mean, the N64 is one of the most popular consoles to collect for right now. People, hipsters, whatever, are going back to their childhoods and gassing up the N64 like crazy. And like, people are debating and tearing each other apart on Twitter because some people are like, yeah, the N64 sucks. And
I'm not a big fan of the 64.
Other people are like, it's the greatest console of all time. And, it's kind of crazy because, like, the way people's memories, like, the N64 was a failure, basically. Like, I mean, it was okay.
It didn't win. But I wouldn't call it a failure. But
it wasn't a failure, but I mean, they only sold, 30 million of them.
And there was like 300 something games, or
there was only like 275, 300 games on the system, and really only maybe 24 of them were good.
That's your first decade of 3D, though, right? Like,
you know, and like the thing that can be said about the N64 is those 24 games that were good were really, really good. Like really memorable games. Like Ocarina of Time is on everybody's list of best games of all time. Mario 64, groundbreaking, blah, blah, blah. GoldenEye, groundbreaking at the time. Horrible to go back to now, but
big time.
Like the N64 was an important console at the time, but I don't think it's anywhere near as good as the PS1.
Yeah, PS1 had a lot more games too.
Imagine if Rare had done what Square did and went to the PS1 and ignored and left Nintendo. Then what would Nintendo be left with? Zelda, Mario, and because Rare is what made the N64 have any success. I mean, you have Mario, you have Zelda, F-Zero, I guess, and then
Banjo-Kazooie.
What else does it have? GoldenEye is Rare, right? That's Rare. Banjo, Diddy Kong Racing, Donkey Kong Country 64 is Rare.
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Rare. All those games, and it's like you take away Rare, Nintendo would have been a failure, I think, completely. But the PS1, it's like just ignoring just I don't know, it's just such a good system. Yeah, there's some load times, but it's so better,
Trusted Metal, big time. Oh yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't think there are a few experiences that I had with the N64. Like, I never owned an N64 back in the day, and that may be why I don't have the nostalgia for it that some people do. But I can remember playing Star Fox 64 when that first came out, and I was blown away. Like, that was the best looking controlling 3D environment game that I had ever played at the time on any device.
1080 snowboarding was pretty good too.
But on the other hand, like, to gas up the N64 as being the best console of all time because of 10 or 15 games that were admittedly great, I don't think you can really say the N64 is the best console of all time or anywhere near the best console of all time.
I think it was better for the multiplayer, to be honest.
I guess if you were into Mario Party or Diddy Kong Racing or something with 4 friends on the couch, that could be pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was a multiplayer machine. Yeah,
I did PlayStation like one game, and that was Crash Team Racing, and that was amazing.
Was really good.
But other than that, multiplayer, 2-player was most of the time. So yeah, it was kind of lacking.
There was a few multiplayer games because they had the multi-tap. One game that we played a lot of, up to 5 players, was Micromaniacs. That was fantastic. We loved that one on PS1.
I never played.
Is that a Micro Machines game?
It plays exactly like a Micro Machines game, but it was based on a Fox Kids cartoon. So you have little people running around instead of cars, and each one had their own unique abilities. And there was like 40 tracks or more, and it was so good. That's a game that just doesn't get talked about. Hidden gem material right there.
Wow, I gotta check that.
Oh yeah, Micromaniacs. Look it up.
Yeah, I don't know. I love the PS1, but I find that whole generation is kind of hit and miss these days to go back to.
Yeah,
it's tricky. It's tricky.
The RPGs on the PS1, they're fantastic, but when you try to go back to them, sometimes it's not as good in your head as it was back then. Like I have memories of playing Final Fantasy VII, and I'm trying to play Final Fantasy VII now on the Switch, and it's not the same as my memories. It's still fantastic, but in my head, it was so much better. The graphics were mind-blowing in 1997, and now they look like absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
It's strange. See, I can put myself into the headspace I was in. So when I play an Atari game, a Super Nintendo game, PlayStation 1, it feels as good to me now as it did then. Like, obviously I know the graphics aren't as good, but I get into that headspace, I put myself into 1997, 1998, and I play with that attitude.
Certain things I can do it with, like with 16-bit stuff, it never ages. It looks great forever. If
it's a different kind of style for sure.
Super Castlevania 4 or Super Metroid or something, like those games just look wonderful forever. But
I thought Tales of Fantasia for the Super Nintendo was great, but that was only released in Japan.
those like 6th gen or whatever, or 5th gen, I guess. Like the early 3D stuff, and even the 2D stuff with like the pre-rendered backgrounds and stuff just doesn't look as well as I remember it in my head.
I got to say something here too, just because the main thing that's in my mind is when I played racing games. I'm sure a lot of people say this. They were the physics just felt a little off. You couldn't get as good control as you can with certain games like Forza now. And I think like Gran Turismo's still sticking on to what happened back then. I don't know. I haven't really played much of 7 recently, but like with previous games from 6 down, they all played pretty much similar. That's
7 as well.
Yeah, 7 as well.
Yeah. To me, it plays just like all the others, just prettier.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel they have to update the physics.
I go back and forth in the Gran Turismo series quite frequently, and I can tell you that the physics have evolved in a very linear fashion. When you try to go back and play Gran Turismo 2 or 3, it feels a lot different than Gran Turismo 6 or 7.
I still love Gran Turismo.
Like it feels the same. You can tell it's how do I describe it? The older games feel more wooden. Like the controls feel stiffer.
I think the graphics make it. I think the graphics make it seem that way because the graphics are more dynamic now. Where before they didn't look dynamic, but I think they play the same. They just you can see as well as feel now.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I get you on that for sure.
Certain games like going back, Gran Turismo 3, I think is probably the most difficult one in the series.
That's because you can be first person or have the car in your face. There's only the 2 options.
I thought Gran Turismo 4 was hard, man. Holy crap.
3 is really difficult because like the cars, you can F up your car really easy in that game. Like put the wrong mods on it or the wrong suspension or too much power and not enough brakes or something. And like you're spinning out your cars all the time, crashing them into walls and stuff. And like I never had that problem in 4 or 6 or any of my other favorites, but in 3, I'm a terrible driver.
I had trouble with the licensing in 4.
But
I couldn't use that.
But how does Gran Turismo 3 compare to Gran Turismo on PSP, huh?
Oh, PSP. I hated that one, man. I got to tell you, like, there's some people who really enjoy it, but for me, like, there's no seasons, Like,
it's a pretty stripped down game.
Yeah, I didn't like that. Nah.
I haven't ever really played it, so I don't know.
The only cool thing, sorry for cutting you off, but you could, with Gran Turismo, I think it was 5 on PS3, any car, I think it was any car that you had on the memory card on your PSP, you could transfer over to the PS3 on PS5.
That makes sense.
PS3 for Gran Turismo 5. Sorry. But
you gotta love that synergy.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed what they did back and forth with the handhelds and stuff.
Remote play.
Yeah, I think Sony should get back into a handheld.
They were speaking. Yeah, they were speaking of something.
Not what they're planning.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Neither do I.
What they're planning is stupid. It's just a remote play machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, like make something unique about it. I don't know.
I guess the thing is, a lot of people are saying that Sony can't maintain 2 platforms anymore because of how long the development cycles are getting to be, that they can barely maintain 1 platform. It's taking them anywhere from 5 to 7 or 8 years to pump out a game these days.
Well, now you're fighting against Nintendo, who has a handheld and console in one sort of deal too. So
and the Nintendo handheld console is a generation behind. I mean, really, the Switch is still a portable PS3 Plus. You know, it doesn't take as long to develop. You know that. I mean, it's like having a Disney cartoon beautifully animated versus South Park, which takes longer to make, right?
Yeah.
It's not because the quality of the show is different, but the animation and the effort it takes to build something like that is
slim back for the developers, man. And yeah, it's a pain.
Well, we are coming up on our time limit for tonight, so let's think, folks, and we'll talk in our green room over the week about what we're going to call this, because we're going to do it for the summer. We're just going to hang out and have conversations like this. Let us know down in the comments what you think we should call it and what you think we should talk about next week. And Sean, where can we find you on the web?
Well, there's Facebook, Electronic Emotions Program. And you can find me that on YouTube as well, Electronic Emotions Program. I'm going to start a new channel right away called Pieces of Eep, where I'm just going to kind of catalog all my games. So I'm going to make a new channel called Pieces of Eep. And I just about to finish the first video for that, probably tonight.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and just pump that out, kind of catalog my collection, where I can just talk about each game in a little blurb. So that's another place eventually you can find me is Pieces of Eep. But otherwise, Electronic Emotions Program, the EEP.
And Eric?
Well, you can find me on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Yeah, also I'll give you the links.
What's your handle? Is it
the Atari links?
Big Bald Dumbass at hotmail.com or?
Well, I don't know about giving the email right now. Like I'll give you the links if you want to do it.
You can put the links in a comment later or something if you want. And as for me, I am most easily found on Twitter at NerdMovie1. I'm on Twitter a bazillion times a day. I live there. I do have a Facebook group. I do have a YouTube channel that you are watching right now. But yeah, if you want to talk to me, Twitter is the best place to catch me. So anyways, guys, thanks for coming in. We'll meet up again next week, and hopefully we'll have a more fleshed out topic to discuss next week. But we were just kind of getting back into the swing of things tonight. Really getting our sea legs again.
I want to say something too. I got to say, it was great joining you guys here, and hey, hopefully, I'll be back in again.
Yeah, come back, Eric.
All right, man.
Yeah, hopefully you'll get your own camera next time because you'll be at home.
Yeah, well, I got one of these fancy guys, the Logitech. So,
or you guys could both come share my camera.
We'll come all the way up there. Sure. Yeah.
Why not?
And you didn't mention where I'm from. I'm from Omemee, Ontario, so I'm a little.
Omemee, what?
Yeah.
Omemee.
Well, they call it the place where Neil Young used to live. I don't know. It's one of his favorite places. Yeah. Yeah, he did live there once, but he wasn't born there. But
when he was young?
They have a school named after his father called Scott Young. So,
Scott Young.
Yeah.
Old Scott.
All right, well, we're going to wrap this up for tonight. Thanks, guys, so much for joining me, and I guess we'll see y'all next week.
All righty.
On the next week.
There it is. Yeah.